What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I've been sick for about 10 days or so I can't do any critical listening, but I still wanted to make a video for you guys, but I didn't want it to be topical. So what I decided to do is I'm going to answer a bunch of questions I've gotten in the last 10 days live in this video. Well, I guess it's not live, but you get my point. I've got about 90 unread emails that I haven't been responding to because I've been sick. These are all questions I've gotten on the YouTube channel about all kinds of various things, and I'm going to answer for you guys in this video so you can kind of see like what kind of questions I get. I just think it'll be fun. This might be a longer video. I don't know. I mean, I got 90 questions here to answer. So I'm probably going to skip the really long questions because I'm going to say if you got a really long question, you should probably just hop in the free Discord and ask there. If I butcher your name, sorry. Oh, well, it is what it is. So without further ado, let's jump into it. First question is someone asking on the Project Speakerbox 5 review, what's a good subwoofer to pair with them in and around that price range? Project Speakerbox 5s are $349. I'm going to go ahead and recommend the similarly priced Emotiva SE8 subwoofer. It's a fantastic subwoofer for the money, and I think it'll pair great with those speakers. And that's not to say other subwoofers won't pair well also. That's just one that came to mind immediately. Next comment is someone just asking me to make the room brighter in these videos. Sorry, that's probably not going to happen. Little Dad is, he's saying he's got a Node 2i with a RME ADI2 and asking if he upgrades from the Node 2i to the Silent Angel Munich M1 Streamer, if it'll sound better. That's tough to answer because I don't know what kind of speakers you're using. Now, the Silent Angel Munich M1 Streamer is an upgrade from the Bluesound Node 2i. However, you know, if your speakers aren't resolving enough or your amplification isn't resolving enough, I don't know if you'll notice that difference. So I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry. Little Dad again asked, which Arender did I have? I've never had anything from Arender, sorry. Dean Kim, he says you should do a video on which is better, two-way versus three-way speakers. I'd be curious on your thoughts. Dean, I would totally do that if I had the data points, but I'm pretty sure I've only ever reviewed one three-way speaker, and that was the Wharfedale Evo 4.2. And I didn't like it very much. I find that three-way speakers are very tall, and aesthetically, I don't like the way they look. To me, if I was going to go for a speaker that tall, I'd probably just jump to tower speakers. Next question, Greg Martinez, great video. I have a Rel S510 and I'm getting the bug. I was wondering about JL Audio. I've heard good things about the Fathom line. So you probably want my opinion on that. I made a whole video actually about Rel subwoofers and how they compare to subwoofers like SVS and JL Audio. The title of the video is called Rel versus SVS, and I recommend you check out that video. It really clearly paints the picture of the difference between the two brands because they are very, very different sounding subwoofers. Oleg says, hey mate, did you listen to the Rel S510? And do you think, should I go with that instead of the T9X? I couldn't tell you, Oleg, I haven't heard the Rel S510 just yet. Every time I ask Rel for a review sample of the Rel S510, something else pops up. For example, the last time I sent them an email asking for the S510 review sample, they were like, hey, a new Predator's coming out. We'd like you to check that out. And I was like, oh my God, of course. I'm sure I'll check out the Rel S510 at some point. The stars just haven't aligned on that one yet. Next question. This is another content creator responding to me, and I want to give this person a shout out. I found this really small hidden gem content creator. If you guys are into like physics videos, you know, like Fermi paradox, things like that, strongly recommend Blue Dot Dweller. This girl does awesome videos. She's got like maybe 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers. I was so happy to find this hidden gem of a channel. Next question, Pickled Onion. Why is it that some people who have reviewed these say they're laid back? Okay, he's talking about the Revel Concerta 2M16 speakers. I said they were like harsh and bright. He's saying, you know, people say they're laid back, dark, rich. What are you using for amplification? Pickled Onion. Any video I make where I review something, all the associated equipment is listed in the description. I'm not going to answer that question for you here. I'm sorry. It's all in the video description. I can't say this guy's name, but he's saying for home theater purposes only, how does the 1510 compared to the Rhythmic E15 HP2. Thanks, much appreciated. I couldn't tell you, I don't have a dedicated home theater. I only use subwoofers for 2-channel stereo. What I can tell you based on my experience with both subwoofers is both subwoofers are very good and very capable and sound very, very good. And I think you can't go wrong either way. Henry47 says, is it necessary to raise your subwoofer off from the floor like 3 to 4 feet? No, I don't think it's necessary, and I think sometimes it could be detrimental. For example, small subwoofers like the REL T5X that are downfiring need to be coupled to the room to sound their best, and if you raise that thing 3-4 feet off the floor, you're going to lose a lot of bass output, and I don't recommend it. Now, would some scenarios raising the subwoofer off the floor sound better? I don't know. I think that would just look funny, and I wouldn't want a heavy subwoofer 3-4 feet off the ground myself. I'm going to go ahead and say, and I don't have experience raising subwoofers off the ground a whole lot, but I'm going to go ahead and say I think that's a product that was created to solve a problem that doesn't exist. Randy says, can you review Klipsch SPL 12120? Sorry, Randy, probably not. I'm not interested in Klipsch subwoofers. Tyler Smith, is there an audible difference between the Rhythmic F12 SE and the F12G? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I haven't heard the F12G. I'm not interested in a driver designed by Danny Ritchie. The real Rhythmic subwoofer to me is the one with the metal cone. That's how Brian designed the F12. The F12 metal cone is the original Rhythmic subwoofer. And when I talked to Brian about it, I asked him actually, I said, why do you offer Danny Ritchie's driver? Like, you can make your own driver. And he said, well, he had a lot of customers that actually asked for a paper cone driver. He said that he's experienced a lot of customers who believe that a paper cone subwoofer will match better with paper cone speakers. I personally don't believe that to be true, but he had a lot of customers requesting a paper cone version of the F12. Not enough customers for him to go out and just make his own driver from scratch. So he instead decided to use one of Danny's 12-inch paper cone drivers for those customers that specifically request paper cone subwoofers for their paper cone speakers. So I hope that answers your question. I personally own the F12 SE. I think that is the best version of the F12 because that's the way Rhythmic designed it. Rekeen says, you should try some headphones. I probably won't. I'll tell you a quick story on why. One day I woke up and I had blood coming out of both my ears, and I freaked out and drove myself down to the emergency room because if you've ever seen a movie where someone's got blood coming out of both ears, they're usually going to die pretty soon. And I was freaking out. I get to the ER, they take me right away because I've got blood coming out of both my ears. And the doctor within like a couple of minutes is not alarmed whatsoever. She cleans off the blood and she's like, you're fine. Your ear canals are just bleeding. What have you been putting in there? I'm like, nothing, and she's like, nothing. You don't use headphones. You don't use, Q-tips to clean your ears. And I told her, no, I just, had been traveling on an airplane and I did have earbuds in my ears. And she was like, check it out. You've got really sensitive ear canals. You can't put anything in your ears. So I'm not going to use in-ears. And then as far as like big over the head like headphones, I just don't like them. They're hot, they're sweaty. I wear glasses, they press on the side of the frame. I'm just not a fan of headphones. Down to the Wire says, which came first, the chicken or the egg? I actually can answer this question. The chicken came first, and science has proved this because they found there's certain enzymes that the egg is made out of that only exist inside the chicken's body. So the chicken did actually come first. Josh DeCubber says, throughout your hi-fi journey so far, what was the biggest surprise to you of everything you've learned? That's a deep question. Out of everything I've learned, the biggest surprise. I'll give you two answers. I'll give you one that's, a deeper answer and one that's a lighter answer. The lighter answer is going to be power cables. I was surprised to learn through experience that power cables made a difference. Whether or not other people believe that, I don't care. I encourage everyone to have their own experience. And if your experiences, they don't make a difference, my hat's off to you. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Nor am I encouraging anyone to go out and take out a $10,000 loan to buy power cables. But I would say power cables were a fairly big surprise for me. Another thing that was a fairly big surprise for me was that diminishing return isn't a real thing. I had heard, that diminishing return, once you spend a few $1,000s, you've got something that's 90% as good as something that's like 100,000 or something. There's entire YouTube channels that seem to be related to this idea of diminishing return and that you don't need expensive stuff. And I just haven't found it to be true. Every extra dollar I have spent on my system has made a notable improvement. I started this channel reviewing speakers that were just a couple $100s. Recently, I reviewed speakers like the Focal Canta #1 that were $8,000. I wish I could sit here and tell you guys that a $2,000 speaker is just as good as an $8,000 speaker, but it's just not the case, guys. The last thing that surprised me that I learned, and this is perhaps the deeper answer, is, and this is maybe not the answer you're looking for, but what surprised me most was the community, in positive ways and negative ways. In some ways, it was far more toxic than I expected. There were a lot of fake people that I thought were real. And then on the flip side, I've met some people that are absolutely awesome. You know what I mean? And have had some of the coolest experiences as a result of being into this hobby. So it's been pretty cool. Next, John Levinson, how are wiring the subs in your review, line level or speaker level? I use speaker level I use line level most of the time because that's the way you connect most subwoofers. If you have like a tube amp or something that doesn't have line outputs, then I guess you're going to use high level. Or if you have like a REL TX subwoofer that is designed to use high level as the better connection option, then I would use high level. So it really depends, but most of the time I'm actually using line level. And for those of you that just want my opinion on line level versus high level real quick, I'll keep it really simple. I think most of the time, as long as you don't have any problems, line level is going to be the best way to connect your subwoofer. However, if you've got a cheap entry level AVR, your subwoofer output might be filtered in a way that's just not ideal. And you might find that using high level output is going to give you a cleaner signal. That's not to say high level is the superior methodology every time. If you've got a good integrated amp or a good AVR, with a good subwoofer output, you're going to get a much cleaner signal and sometimes lower extension using that line level output. And then lastly, there are some subwoofers like the REL TX range that are designed specifically to sound their best with high level. However, I've compared them with high level and line level. They sound great either way, guys. So I would say you want to connect the subwoofer the way that just makes the most sense for your system. Keeping Up with the Joneses, another longtime subscriber. By the way, Josh DeCubra, also a longtime subscriber. I appreciate you. Keeping Up with the Joneses says up to $5,000 for dual subwoofers. What are you buying? I don't know. I'm not in the market and I haven't really given that much thought. This room can't really accommodate larger dual subwoofers. It seems like this room sounds best with subwoofers up to 10-inch in pairs or single subwoofers up to 15 inches with a budget of $5,000. You know what I mean? There aren't many 10-inch pairs or smaller because usually the more expensive subwoofers are more expensive. The more expensive subwoofers are larger is what I meant to say. But yeah, I'm sorry, Keeping Up with the Joneses. That's a tough question to answer just because of my room. And for the most part, if I want something at a certain price, I just buy it. But there isn't a pair of subwoofers up to $5,000 that I'm dying for right now. I have a pair of REL T7Xs. I love them. I've got quite a few Rhythmic subwoofers here. I love them. I've got a couple JL Audio subwoofers here. I love them. There isn't a subwoofer right now that I want that I don't own. So I'm sorry. I can't answer that. Odiv, I don't understand why they didn't make a remote for the Denafrips DAC. You should email Denafrips, Odiv. I'm sorry. I couldn't tell you. Mr. Chibs. Oh, dude, Mr. Chibs is another content creator. I watched your Pontus 2 video. It was a good video. You have a nice car too, by the way. Mr. Chibs says, House of the Dragons versus the Rings of Power. Which one and why? Oh my God, Mr. Chibs, you're coming in hot with the loaded questions. This is tough to answer right now because House of the Dragons just did the time skip where we lost our favorite actress. And I'm a little bit upset about that. Likewise, Rings of Power isn't without its issues either. Now, I'm going to be 100% honest here. I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fanboy, so it doesn't bother me that it's not Tolkienian or that it's, really fan fiction. I think Rings of Power is cool so far, and I'm still a little bit hurt from how Game of Thrones originally ended, and then they just did the time jump. I lost my favorite character. I'm really upset. I'm worried about both shows, to be totally honest, but I guess this is the best way I can answer that question. I look forward to the new Game of Thrones House of the Dragons episode more than I look forward to the new Rings of Power episode. So I guess House of the Dragons. Reticulated Ralphie says, I would like to know if the Rhythmic L12 is significantly better than the RSL 10S Mark II for 2-channel only rig. Yes, it is significantly better. And then his question is longer. He says, or if it's more a matter of preference. No, it's not a matter of preference. The Rhythmic L12 is better. My only experience, the rest of the question doesn't matter. Look, so here's the thing. The RSL Speedwoofer 10S, best subwoofer you can get for the money. But for a couple $100 more, the Rhythmic L12 sound quality is absolutely superior. Now, the RSL Speedwoofer 10S being a ported 10-inch might be able to play a few dB louder, but if maximum loudness isn't what you're chasing after and you want a subwoofer that can play plenty loud but have really, really good sound quality and you can afford the Rhythmic L12, absolutely buy it. And just so we're clear, if you can't afford it and the $400 RSL Speedwoofer 10S is your max budget, that is an outstanding subwoofer for that price. Ben Kazi says, would you rather have one pair of $100,000 floor standing speakers or 10 different pairs of $10,000 stand mounts along with the best subs in the world? This is actually a really easy question for me to answer. And this is actually going in contrast to what I generally believe. Generally, I believe it is better to have one higher end item than multiple lower end items. However, in this scenario specifically, I would rather have 10 $10,000 speakers. Here's why. $100,000 speakers, which I have heard many of them, they're fantastic, make no mistake. However, they are generally very large. My room is not very large. And they're very, very specialized for a specific genre of music. For example, a certain $100,000 speaker might sound absolutely fantastic with piano or with jazz or with singer-songwriter, but you put real music on it, something like normal, something popular, something you'd hear on the radio, and it's going to sound terrible. It's going to sound dry and emotionless. Not only that, these really, really super high-end speakers, they dig everything out of the recording, including things that I believe you're not supposed to hear, like the mouth movements of the singer. I don't care to hear that much into the recording. To me, that starts to sound fake. So the short answer is I think that like 10K is the cap for me on speakers, because above that, you can't listen to all the music. I at least can't listen to all the music that I generally enjoy. And I'd have to like look for specialty recordings, and that's just not worth it for me. David, least favorite album by your favorite band? So I'm going to go ahead and say Cruelty and the Beast by Cradle of Filth. Love the album, but the recording is so bad. It's just so bad. The double bass sounds so thin, and it's almost like someone's just tapping their feet. It's such a bad recording, but such a good album. No Name to Fame, another long time subscriber. Where do you see your channel in the next 24 to 48 months? I'm going to tell you guys something about myself. I don't plan shit. I don't plan my days. I don't plan my weekends. I just roll with life. I have zero plans for the channel. I have no vision for it. It goes wherever the Lord takes it. Next question, MT, Marvel or The Boys? Oh my God, this is another very hot and heavy question. I like the Marvel Cinematic Universe a lot, but we know it's had some, crappy movies in there also, and their TV shows are pretty bad. So since The Boys is a TV show, I'm going to assume you're asking Marvel TV shows versus The Boys, and that's hands down The Boys is superior to any Marvel TV show. Marvel TV shows just have such slow pacing. Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, oh my goodness. The only good Marvel show, in my opinion, is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That one was phenomenal. The rest, pacing is just terrible. My Home Audio says, what was the first subwoofer you have reviewed? Have you liked it? I don't know if I can remember. You know what? It was probably, I'm not sure. I think the first subwoofer I reviewed on this channel was the SVS PC2000. And yeah, I liked it. I owned it. I think it's an awesome subwoofer. It's got a unique form factor. and it's just going to be killer for anyone that's looking to have a lot of output in their home theater without taking up too much floor space. By the way, guys, my voice sounds weird. Like I said, I have been sick for 10 days. DM says, hi, do you think that the LS50 Meta and the Marantz Model 40N is a good match? I couldn't tell you. I haven't heard that Marantz, but that is a good-looking amplifier. Alamo 1836 says, where's Fluffy? Fluffy's not here, sorry. JP Winters, longtime subscriber and the moderator on my Discord. I appreciate your service, JP. I really do. He says, are you bored of reviewing audio gear yet? No, I'm not bored because I only review things that personally interest me. A lot of companies, actually not a lot, but some companies will send me emails like, hey, do you want to review this? Do you want to review that? Most of the time I say no. Most of the review samples I get is because I'm emailing these companies asking for these review samples. Like most recently, I saw Emotiva had those new subwoofers coming out and I got excited about them and I asked them for a review sample of that ported 8-inch subwoofer. I find that that's what helps keep the channel fun and exciting. And also, I only do this for fun. I don't do this to generate like income in any way. So no, I don't get bored. DM says, hey, I have the new Marantz Model 40N. Do you think that the S400 Mark II and the 40N is a good match? Again, I'm not sure, DM. I'm sorry. I haven't heard that amp. It is beautiful, though. I will say the S400 Mark II should pair up well to a wide variety of amplifiers, though. DM came through with a third question. I appreciate you. Thank you. He said, hey, what are the best bookshelf speakers overall, in your opinion, up to $3,000? I'm going to go ahead and say Bucard S400 Mark II. That's what I use personally. And if anyone thinks I'm biased for that, I might be a little bit. I really do like them a lot. Derek, are dual subwoofers really necessary, or is that just clever marketing to sell more subs? Taking into account diminishing returns, I feel like a single powerful sub with proper placement, tuning, and room treatment should do fine. So, Derek, look, on one hand, what you're saying is totally right. Yes, one subwoofer that's very powerful and very capable will do just fine. Absolutely. However, on the other hand, dual subwoofers is not made up by marketing just to sell more subwoofers. No. Dual subwoofers is awesome. It's going to help with a lot of things. It's going to give you better seat-to-seat distribution in your room. It's going to help cancel out nulls, voids, peaks, things like that. There's a lot of benefits to dual subwoofers that I don't want to really get into right now, but this is the best way I can tell you. Because I use both. I use single subwoofers and dual subwoofers quite often. When I'm using a single subwoofer, after a while, I get used to it, and I'm like, this sounds phenomenal. I can't tell where the bass is coming from. Like, this sounds so good. What do I need a pair for? Then when I switch to pairs, I'm like, okay, this is a noticeable upgrade, but, you know, single subwoofer is still awesome. But then when I go from duals back to single, that's tough. It's really easy to tell where the bass is coming from when I do that, and it takes a little bit of time to adjust back to the single subwoofer. Dual subwoofers really is awesome, and if you could fit it, do it. If you can't, one subwoofer is better than no subwoofers. So, Hitman89, this is another content creator. We're talking about video games. He's responding to my comment. This is my favorite YouTuber when it comes to video game reviews. Love him. Hitman89, check out his channel. I'm starting to get tired here, guys. I might only have a few more questions in me. Philippe, does high pass filtering the signal to the mains improve sound quality? I'm going to keep this one real short and sweet. If your speakers are crappy, it might, or if you don't like the sound of the bass quality coming from your mains, maybe you'll like it. Personally, I prefer my speakers to run full range. However, I know some people that prefer their speakers to be high passed. I'm going to say it comes down to personal taste, but if your speakers have good bass, I don't know why you'd want to high pass them. Philippe also asked, do you like room correction software? No, I don't. Not for 2-channel stereo. However, I would like to be super clear here. I have the luxury of having a good room that doesn't have many issues, so I don't need room correction. If I did need room correction, I think I'd have a different opinion, like if I had a ton of issues here. Or if I was doing multi-channel, I think with multi-channel room correction is super helpful because you got, upwards of 10, 12, 16 speakers. You got to time align all of them. Room correction could be super helpful in those scenarios. I think I skipped one. Spigden, hey Nemo, I have a situation where I have to place the sub within a cabinet. Would you recommend this JL, he's talking about the E110, as a front firing sub over the designs that are dual side or bottom, front and bottom. Basically, he's asking if a front firing driver would be okay in a cabinet. Hard to say. The JLE 110 is capable of serious output for its size. It'll be fine in a cabinet in a way. Is it going to rattle the hell out of your cabinet? That's possible, yeah, that's possible. If I was going to put a subwoofer in a cabinet, I would try to get something that was force canceling, like SVS Micro 3000, KEF KF92, KEF KC62, and so on, to eliminate any vibrations from going into the cabinets from the subwoofer itself. But I guess you could also put the JLE 110 on an isolation platform. At the end of the day, it's just not ideal placement. But if that's your only option, then that's your only option, and you're going to have to experiment and try to make that work. I have a subwoofer sitting on top of my media console in my living room. Actually, I use the KEF KC62 because I have a similar situation where I just don't have floor space. Turn-based lovers. This is actually another small content creator responding to my comment. This is, again, a great channel if you're into turn-based JRPG games. I'm so happy I found this content creator. He does a lot of reviews for turn-based RPG games, especially ones that are available on Steam. I love his work. Highly recommend. Next, Jordan Fagley. Is anyone else in your immediate or extended family into hi-fi? No, not a single person, unfortunately. Next question, DM. Hi, I have the new Marantz. I swear to God, you already asked this question. Do you think the S400 Mark II also good for movies in kinds of dynamics and effects? I guess it's a slightly different question. I don't watch a lot of movies, and when I do, I don't listen all that loud. Bass-heavy speakers generally cannot play as loud as speakers that really aren't bass-heavy. I'm going to say if you're looking to play above like 95 dB, you probably want like a more robust speaker for your home theater that's more dedicated to home theater. Maybe something by Arundel, for example. Steam is telling me a game's on sale. No, thank you. Kyle O, have you ever tried mid-high-end headphones? Nope, I don't like headphones. They make my ears bleed. This is an email from Zero Fidelity saying thoughts and prayers for my car because I have a German car, and he thinks German cars will fall apart at 60,000 miles, and I emailed him saying I only have 44,000 on mine, and he was saying thoughts and prayers. Former Hobbit, how does the visual affect the audio? In other words, do pretty things sound better to our ears? Look, I'll be honest. I think a big part of this hobby is psychological, and I do think a good-looking product is going to make a good first impression, but I think that could go either way. I think on one hand, it might increase your expectations, which could be detrimental to your evaluation if you're not careful, right? If your expectation's too high. But at the same time, it could have some kind of psychoacoustic effect where like it looks nice and you're kind of already married to the idea of owning it. It's hard to say. I do believe this hobby does have a lot of psychology to it though. Former Hobbit says, okay, one more question. Will a higher end amplifier without room correction necessarily sound better than a lower quality amplifier or receiver with room correction or vice versa? Before I answer this question, I have to cough. Hold on. And I'm not going to edit this out either. All right, Former Hobbit. It kind of depends on the price points. It really does. Because if we're talking about, say, a $1,000 integrated amplifier with room correction versus like a $50,000 Purist piece, the Purist piece is going to sound better. Then again, if your room has like horrendous problems, like maybe the one with the room correction will sound better. There's just too many factors. I would say buy the one that you're more into. Personally, I don't use room correction. I use amplifiers that are more Purist pieces. That's just what I like. And part of my audio philosophy is less is more. Jock 101, can you review some high-end gear like Beats by Dre? I'll try, bro. You know what I mean? Just, I don't know if I can afford it. You know, maybe if we can get a GoFundMe going, I'll give it a shot. Ed, he's talking about the Quad S1. He's telling me he disagrees with me. That's cool, Ed. You know, there's nothing wrong with disagreeing with me. Ross Warren, using one of these in a bedroom system. Okay, he's just giving feedback on the Yamaha RS202, saying it's a good amp. I agree. That's not an email I need to read. What's next? Might have to cut this short, guys. I'm starting to sweat. A lot of talking, and I'm still a little sick. Marcus Brunn, currently using the Node 2i. How much snappier is this to use? He's talking about the Silent Angel Munich M1, asking if the software is better. The Silent Angel Munich M1 is the better streamer, but the Bluesound Node 2i has the best software out of any streamer. That's just a fact. Steam telling me a game's on sale. Beat Killer 25. Waiting on my RSL Speedwoofer Mark II to arrive. Excellent choice. J Tan, hello. Assuming both are similarly priced, which is better? Focal Cora 806 or Sonus Faber Lumina 2? I haven't heard the Sonus Faber Lumina 2. I couldn't tell you. RJZ is asking, good morning, sir. I am still undecided if I should go with Rhythmic subwoofer or a REL subwoofer. Can you give me some feedback? That's a tough one. That really is a tough one. I own both of them because I can't decide either. I can't really answer that question. I'm sorry. Well, because my answer to that question was to buy both. Legion 1, I really appreciate you and your reviews. No matter the product, you always cover them from top to bottom. Thank you, brother. I appreciate the kind words. Slide Tech, I noticed you haven't touched vinyl. Yeah, I'm not going to. I'm not a fan of physical media. Big George, he's telling me he ordered a RSL Speedwoofer. Yeah, good choice. It's a good subwoofer. Someone's saying they want to see the Argon 3S compared to the Bucard S400 Mark II. I'll do it if Amphion sends me a review sample. Audi File, another longtime subscriber. Talking about subwoofers. He's responding to another poll. Let's skip through these. Mike Huntington asking me if I still own the Canta #1. Yes, I still own them, and he's asking if I'll talk about how they sound with the new Hegel integrated amplifier I got. I will cover that. Rob, he said it'll be nice to hear how you compare the Kinky sound to the Hegel sound. I will make sure to do that. 8-Bit Flea is asking if I've reviewed anything from Outlaw Audio. I haven't. I tried to email them one time, and then I found out they didn't have an email on their website. You got to call them. So I got to call them, and one day I will, and I'll ask them for something. Slickman Elite would love to hear how the 1205 Mark II compares to the Predator 1510. Well, Slickman, you know, that's just going to come down to physical size. The 1205 Mark II is a 12-inch, and it's an awesome 12-inch, but the Predator 1510 is a 15. It's substantially larger, heavier, more than twice the price, and so on. I don't know. I might talk about it a little bit when I review the 1205 Mark II. Rap Freak, Amphions are stable in recording studios. Cool. KCS, looking forward to what's to come. Me too. Oh, British Audiophile. He said, thank you, buddy. I think I commented on his Hegel review saying it was a good video. MT, can't wait for the REL reviews. Me neither. Or me too, I should say. Just going to skip through some of these. Not a lot of these are just like feedback. No one's asking a question. Someone asked M16 or JBL 550. I haven't heard those JBLs, and I don't like the Revels, so I can't say. Uncle Corky, you have the worst freaking picture next to your name I've ever seen. That makes me uncomfortable. He asked, what's a speaker that offers up good bass output? He understands that, you know, you can't have perfection, but what's going to come close? He needs a solution for his bedroom. Listens to electronic, industrial, and so on. Uncle Corky, without knowing your budget, it's going to be hard to say, so I'm going to give you a few options. If your budget's really low, the Emotiva B1 Plus is $249. If you got more money, the Polk Reserve R200 is like $800. If you got more money, the Bucard S400 Mark II, substantial bass. And if you've got even more money, the Dyna Audio Special 40s also have substantial bass. But I would just go for the Bucard S400 Mark IIs. Those are my favorite speaker in the whole wide world. Next, Ron and Joy Roy, love the wallpaper of Ulquiorra. Thank you, brother, fellow Bleach fan. I appreciate that. Shakir Hussein, I'm a big fan of your reviews, want your help. Confused about, oh man, I can't answer this question in a video, bro. He's between like 5 different subwoofers. Actually, I can answer this. So Shakir, you're asking about 5 different subwoofers, but they're all made by SVS. Generally speaking, when someone's asking me a question about how products compare, but all the products are made by the same company, I like to encourage that person to talk to the company that makes all the products. They're going to be able to give you a way better answer than I can because they're going to be way more familiar with their own products than I am. So since all the subwoofers you're interested in are made by SVS, I would ask SVS this question. The FedEx man, I ordered 2 of these after watching this video. He's talking about the Rhythmic E15. What is your opinion on the E15 HB2 above versus 2 JTR RS1s? Well, the JTR RS1's an 18-inch subwoofer, and it's about, I think it's double the price of the Rhythmic E15 HB2. I haven't heard the JTR subwoofer, but it's double the price. It's probably twice as heavy. It's fairly large. At the end of the day, you're asking me how a 15 compares to an 18. I would imagine the JTR, RS1 has a lot more output. It's a bigger subwoofer. It's got more power. It's got a larger cabinet. It's double the price and so on. As far as sound quality, I couldn't tell you. Siphonics Audio, looking forward to this one. Me too. That was probably a comment I shouldn't have read. Oh well, I'm getting tired. Someone asking, CC asking, any recommendation for a good R2R DAC not sold by a Chinese company? Sorry, I don't know. Evil Bane asking if he should get a REL HT1205 for his gaming rig where he uses the Audio Engine A5 Plus. Yeah, go for it. But I would say if it's a gaming rig, just be advised. It's kind of hard to get good bass out of a desktop setup sometimes. It just kind of is what it is, so you might have to experiment with placement. If you're limited by underfoot, under desk space, the REL HT1003 Mark II is pretty good too. BS, let's see, what is his question? That's a little bit too long of a question. Sorry, my man. I can't answer that in this video. Oh, this is another, wow, this is a really long question. I'm not doing it. I don't have the time. And that's it, guys. Holy crap. We crammed through all 90 of my unread YouTube comments. I hope you enjoyed this show. I hope this video wasn't longer than an hour. It might be. Who knows? It is what it is. What's coming up for the channel? I still need to review the new Emotiva B2 Plus and the Dana Frips Hestia preamp. Those are the 2 products I'm lagging on. I've got the REL 1205 Mark II and 1003 Mark II. I'm going to cover those as soon as I'm feeling better, and a few other products. Yeah, I'm tired, guys. This felt like a long video. I think it was a long video. Anyways, until next time, later.